I need to talk about it. I have $40,000 in credit card debt. 40.
Oh, that's crazy.
So why am I sharing this?
So before we get into it, how this young woman managed to gather $40,000 of debt, I wanted to say hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Talk Podcast. And also I wanted to tell you guys where I found this clip from. This clip I found, obviously is a TikTok clip. I cannot tell you her name, but I found it on Social Simone's YouTube channel. And I need to tell you all, I really enjoy her YouTube channel. It is entertaining. And to be honest, there's always something to learn. So go take a look and let's see how this woman managed to get $40,000 worth of debt.
So let's talk about it. First of all, that is a statement that I thought I would be taking to my grave. I never thought I would tell another soul. And in fact, until today, I have never told another soul about my struggles with credit card debt because this is not the beginning. If we rewind all the way back to about 19 or 20-year-old Lana, that is when my journey with credit card debt began.
So, well, since we are rewinding back to her younger self, could be that she's not that young anymore, but that is not the thing, right? I guess so many people find themselves in this kind of unfortunate situation, and we already heard her saying it is credit card debts, right? This is something that I'm not familiar with. I think we've all kind of been broke or struggled with money in some sense. I would claim that the struggle or the issue with credit cards in Europe is not as big as a thing as it is in the US. So feel free to drop your experience down below in the comments.
I was 19 years old and I was dating a man who was 31, and he did not support me or help me financially in any way. And I was trying to live his lifestyle off my minimum wage job. And I was living outside my means to myself into credit card debt. Or I stayed in credit card debt until I was about 21, at which point I was able to pay it off over the course of just like really cutting back. And
now I have to say this, and I want to make this clear. This is not to make fun of this woman in any way, right? I really believe that there's something to learn, and I will talk about this towards the end, but I find it very interesting, to be honest, quite shocking. Not necessarily only the point that she was dating 19 and dating a 31-year-old. That's not really the problem that I see that shocked me in this topic, because we're talking about her finance. What shocked me is that what are you doing? What were you both doing that got you in this kind of bad situation? And I really need to say that if you're a young person and, you can only do so much in your age, with your age, when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, whatnot, and even 26 and older, depending on what you're doing. If you're studying, if you only have a part-time job, if you're just starting your life, you cannot be trying to live someone else's lifestyle. I really need to put this out there. Do not do that. This can even happen within the same peer group. You would see, some people are friends with maybe someone in the group that just has a better financial background, whatever the case may be. You cannot be trying to measuring up yourself, trying to live their life, knowing very well you cannot afford it, right? And I do not know more about the situation, but there is something very bad and odd about this if he is allowing her to do this. And with allowing, I know it sounds funny because she's already, old enough in that sense legally to make her own decisions and all that good stuff. But what were they doing that would rack you up to fall into debt between 19 and 21? Right? I mean, everyone can get a nice vacation, but where did you guys go?
Being very diligent about making as many extra payments as I could to my debt. And then I got out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most freeing thing. I'm never doing that again.
It is.
And then I did.
Oh, okay.
And then I paid that debt off. And you know what? I repeated the cycle again.
Oh.
Oh my God. My third cycle of credit card debt, and at this point my threshold has just gotten so big. Your threshold for debt increases with time, right? It's just like your threshold for anything else that creates stress in your life. Over time, your body has to adapt to the current conditions, so your threshold for what it can hold expands. So right now, the number 40 probably feels staggering to some of you, but it's not a number that I feel fear around.
Yo, that's crazy.
So why am I sharing this with all of you? Well, because this debt that I've carried on and off for almost all of my 20s has cultivated so much shame for me. I directly had my self-worth tied up into my financial picture. And so I thought that because of the fact that I had this debt, I was not worthy.
Because we see the extremes that people will go through whenever they feel like, oh, I'm in debt or I don't have money, so I'm less valuable. You're still valuable and you still have a purpose here on earth, whether.
So now a quick interruption, because I can relate to that feeling. Need to be very honest, the sense of feeling stressed out when it comes to your finance, right? I am sure so many of us have experienced that you're just not doing well, and you know you need to cover up certain, bills or whatnot, and you just feel stressed out about it. Or the sense of shame, to be honest, I can even relate to that. I know that many people out there could as well, thinking to themselves, oh, I am now this certain age, or maybe I had certain plans, and, you're just stagnant, you're not moving ahead, you're not putting your money in the right areas. Or, to be honest, mostly the shame would come from knowing exactly what you should do, but you're not doing it, right? You keep spending on the things that are going to feed the pleasure in the moment instead of budgeting or instead of saving. So if it's that, I can definitely relate to it. Now the thought of not feeling worthy, to me, that is something that is a bit extreme. It's two different things in compared to feeling shame, right? I think that the question would be, who are you trying to feel worthy towards? Does that make sense? Like, who are the people? What is that idea that you have in your mind that you need to accomplish, you need to fit in for you to feel then worthy? Who is that person that you're trying to impress in that sense, for them to acknowledge you and then you suddenly feel worthy? I hope I'm not twisting this, but if it is that, then I need to tell people, please let go of that, because you're just really hurting yourself. That is something that I can agree on what Simone is going to say.
You're rich or whether you're poor. And it really sucks hearing people say that they feel it's tied together, because you can always change your financial situation. You can. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it can be done. Even if you have a lot of money, having a lot of money doesn't make you better than the next person. So I just hate that people even feel like they're tied together.
As I've been doing a deep dive into my subconscious mind, just really into my psyche in general over the last couple of years, I have looked at everything very, very, very honestly, but money's been the one thing that I've been avoiding. Over the last month, I have gotten to a place where I cannot avoid it anymore, because I am in a very unique situation when it comes to my finances. And I've been doing all of this subconscious work. And as I sat in meditation yesterday, this just came up out of nowhere that I need to talk about it. I first started by having conversations with my closest girlfriends, because they didn't even know. And after I had spoken to them, I felt the shame just dissipating and leaving my body. And I thought, I'm going to share it with the world. I think I've always known that I was eventually going to share it with the world. I just wasn't feeling ready. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know that so many of us struggle with debt.
It's true.
I know so many of us are in debt right now. And I need you to remember that money is not moral.
Yep.
You are not worthy or unworthy depending on your financial situation.
Funny, I just said that, but yes, let me let her cook.
The more that we talk about things, the less that shame can breed.
So isn't that great? We all agree on the same thing. Your self-worth as a person has nothing to do with your financial state, right? Or status. Is that how to put it? I guess. I don't know. Well, the truth is, we all have struggles. We all make mistakes. And it is sometimes difficult to be honest to yourself. And most of the times we all actually know. I'm giggling because I also know it for myself, right? Trying to hold yourself accountable is not always easy. We mostly know the things that we're doing and we need to let go of that would actually help us to get, on the right path. And that goes also for your finances. The other thing that I want to quickly talk about is the dating part that I heard, the 19 and the 31-year-old. If you've listened to my podcast, you would hear my opinion on this, giving different context. I have said that I do not agree with the idea of hypersexualizing yourself as a young woman, thinking it's okay for yourself, the society, to then, sell your body on the internet and think it is okay to get profit of it by, showing that to older men and whatnot. But at the same time, I've also said that I think it is a different setup when you are a young woman and you get married to, let's say she was 19, she said, and he was 31. It is mind-blowing in the first initial thought. I cannot lie about that. But if it was a guided, protected setup when they chose to get married, and the families are involved, and that is what this woman really wants in her life, that would be different. And now, keep in mind, for that to happen, it takes both people to be grounded in a good set of mind, right? Meaning the man who is older, in that case should be in a position of honesty, leadership, and financial support. And a woman who wants to do that should understand the different dynamics and her role that comes with it, right? And things like this, they happen in different areas of life and different cultures and different setup. And I know the reality of this, it doesn't always happen ideally, right? Otherwise, we would all be living in a perfect world. But I need to say, if you find yourself doing or entertaining that kind of relationship, please do not start living someone's life who's just, far advanced, and you're trying to match up with them. And also, I would never recommend you doing that if you notice that person is not actually guiding you or being responsible towards you, right? And now this is a tricky path to decide on responsibilities, because you're just dating, you're not really married. You see, it's difficult. I guess I need to sit down and try to record a whole episode on this topic because there are so many different opinions I can see on this. And, there are just different setups in life where things like this might be okay for someone and to someone else it's not okay. To me, I think a great advice would be ideally have your parents or someone in your life involved. I think it is wrong when young men or young women are dating someone who's far older than them, but it's like a sneaky thing. It's like I'm hiding it. Then already there's something wrong. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm trying to make that short and it actually turned out really long. The other thing I need to add on to this is I appreciate it when people come on the internet and share their experience when it comes to finance in this case. But it's something that I need to talk about because I just cannot hold myself when I notice something. I think there's a trend going on with a certain group of people who come on the internet, especially platforms like TikTok, and they are literally trying to monetize their bad behaviors, their wrongdoings, the struggles, which is good to tell someone about, look, these are my mistakes and this is what I did. I don't know if you remember, I had a video of a woman who found herself in debt, struggling, but somehow at the same time still presented in a way that most people, the average struggling person, wouldn't present that way. So I find it tricky. Be careful on who you're listening to on the internet. Also, you are free to judge my opinion as well. And I hope you enjoy. See you next one. Bye.